If you like what we do here, be sure to like and subscribe. Even support us on Patreon. Now let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the Winner Circles interviews. I have with me a guy that has been around the scene for I was going to say a very long time, but it's been a very long time, and it's about damn time that we get him here. Welcome, Stein, winner of the Common Cost VII Tournament Experience Charity Series. So, how you doing, my friend?
Not bad. Just enjoying the weather, enjoying the glow of the wind finally after so many years.
Yes, and I think you've come close once or twice.
Top four twice before, and I've top 8 several times.
So right there, always on the cusp. So yeah, I definitely agree. The cadre of winners for the Winner's Circle has not been complete. Now it feels more complete now that you're in it. So I definitely agree with that sentiment, and I'm hopeful that I don't know, maybe we can revisit another time by the end of the year. What do you think?
Anything is possible.
Anything's possible. Everything's possible. So, Stein and I just spent some time talking in the pre-show that's available for patrons only. We talk less about tournament stuff, more like personal type things. Still always a good thing if you're interested in that. You know where to go see that. Here, I'm going to ask him, as per tradition, to kind of explain a little bit of the pre-PDH Magic experience, like how he came on, all of that stuff. The floor is yours, my friend.
So I started playing in the late 90s when I became a Boy Scout, because being a Boy Scout, you have connection to the older kids at that point, and so it was a lot of just like kitchen table magic. I played that through high school. Again, just a lot of just kitchen table magic, a lot of like playing before school started or after school. Then after I graduated, I had a couple buddies I used to play with very regularly. Again, just kitchen table magic. Well, then both of them moved away, so I didn't have anyone to play with, so I got out of it. And then about 11 years after that, one of them moved back, and he had been playing Magic while he was in the military, and he's got me back into playing Magic. And so that was right before Threnodel Drain. And at the shop I was going to, I was playing a lot of sealed, drafts, commander, a lot of like tournament, because they had weekly tournaments for commander. Played that, and the same when anyone has like enough expendable money and doesn't want to grow up, they become salty man children. So it became unfun to play. So there a lot of times. So started playing a lot more online. I had a group of about 12 people that I was playing with very regularly, a lot of cDH, and just kind of spice it up. We were tried out other formats, and we stumbled upon Pauper Commander, and this was probably early to mid 2021, and it's all downhill from there.
All downhill from there, and we're grateful for it. Except for the sweaty man children part, we could think we agree we can get rid of those. But then we'd have no players left. So, in your transition to PDH, Pauper Commander, what facet of that, like, what grabbed you, of that experience, that transition?
It was more the freedom. Because like in Commander, if you're in cDH, there's only like a handful of like commanders that are considered viable kind of thing, versus because the power level is so much lower in Pauper Commander, like so much more things are viable and so much more things are like flexible, and you can have so much more freedom in it. Mm-hmm. Like the first deck I actually built from the ground up was Gutter Snipe. And Gutter Snipe is not competitive, but like it still can be a very destructive win quick deck, but also it's a deck that struggles with keeping hands, so like then you're just top deck that mode kind of thing.
That sounds sounds like that particular archetype. I think Grip Rats would be, well, Grip Rats has a little bit more black card draw, but still, can be devastating with the right hands, but maintaining that card advantage and by extension board experience or board presence might be kind of tough. So I know you weren't the first one to have a public PDH or cPDH Zada list. I think that was Floor Emoji that had the first one that was being passed around.
So when I built my Zada list, there was actually two of them. There was the Floor Emoji, and the one mine's built off of, designed off of a Hockey Rules list. And
I would say that it was in my memory, which I'm old, so don't don't lean on this too much. But in my memory, Floors was probably the most popular one at the time being passed around. If somebody was like, "Hey, what about Zada?" That'd be the link that people would share. But I think that was in my memory, I think that was a very short period of time. After you picked up Zada and started like developing and playing and what have you, and people started recognizing, I'm not saying Floor wasn't committed to Zada. That's not what I'm saying. If indeed Floor was committed to Zada, you were over committed to playing Zada, and I think people recognized that, and because of that, started looking at your efforts more closely, and especially since the difference too, Floor was only playing in certain, like a small group, and you were playing more broadly, so people got to experience your experience with the deck as well. So I was going to say, so my note says, always Zada, question mark. So
for a while there, I was playing a little bit of Satyr Chanter. I was trying to get Satyr Chanter there, but because I was liking to have potentially having two decks. So people were always second guessing what I would be bringing to a league or a tournament kind of thing. But Satyr Chanter, just it's good, but it's still too slow for a lot of the meta.
Yeah, so I mean, what I have to do is things that I know about you, I have to ask questions to get other people to, yeah. So you had Satyr, you had Zada, you were focused on those. What I know of you is that you were a pretty faithful pilot to things that you develop. But there's also a likelihood out there that you probably brewed some other things for Pauper Commander, and we just never saw them. Tell me about that.
There's a couple, not very many. A lot of them turned out to just being high-powered casual decks. Like I said, Gutter Snipe is the one example. Mm-hmm. Let me actually pull up my collection here if I have any things tucked away here. For a while there, I was also playing Kadira a little bit because I was using basically for Ravamati's list, which I really like his list. It's a deck that I've considered because it also plays similar to Zada, but different enough that it's different. What else did I have? I tried to build Eutropia into an Infect deck, and the problem is there's only 10 Infect creatures in that list, and there's no way to tutor them. So if I don't have an Infect creature, it just kind of just dirtles the entire game. Last summer I was working on Heartfire Hero. I actually took it to, I think, a Sanctuary. I had only played it once before, and it worked pretty well, but it was more of a casual pot I played it in. And it definitely has legs. It needs the time to really optimize it, and due to my time zone differences, I don't get to play very much anymore. So it's hard to try to get those reps in to kind of really focus a deck. Another one I built was Noxious Ghoul. Noxious Ghoul is when it or another zombie comes into play, all non-zombies get -1/-1, so it's a very no, you can't have creatures deck. But it's very expensive to play because Noxious Ghoul already is 5 to drop, and it's a little slow. It doesn't have the same legs that Sard Conrad has. And let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Oh, I was playing Rasad with Sword Coast Sailor for a while there too. It's another one that's just kind of fallen out of flavor because if Rasad gets removed, it gets expensive, or like it's just hard to play too. It's just not the greatest.
So there's some inklings in the or specific things in that that last few minutes. So as you're making evaluations for the decks that you play and build, you're looking at is it distinct from a current strategy? That's something that I heard, and then also like the play patterns associated with if you've got an expensive commander with no real way to cheat it out early, or pay for it late. That's also a consideration as well. Are there any things beyond that of those things for evaluation for you?
Yeah, so it has to kind of fit my play pattern. I like to play decks that are not everyone's playing. And my style, probably the best way to describe my play style is explosive. I like explosive decks that just kind of like might do a little bit, but like they have a big explosive turn that they either basically kill everyone or kill everyone kind of thing. And that's why Zada is the higher fire hero. Is an explosive because you're trying to kill the mouse to kill everyone else. Satyr Chanter is not as explosive, but it's still like it can get really scary, especially when you have a or an Arlid with like being a 20/20 kind of thing that no one can do anything with.
So I have to admit, you single-handedly are the primary and only reason why I have considered adding Storm to the archetype listing. I've got stacks in there now. You can find records in the data that have stacks listed as an archetype. That hasn't really worked out as well in the last like 8 months or so. But at the time, there were a few commanders that were being considered for that particular archetype, whereas Zada is like the only like Storm consideration at the moment. But like, because I know we've talked about because right now it's listed as aggro, and it's listed as aggro because that's the primary win condition. It's storm, full send. So
yep.
Some would say it depends on your perspective of the global you perspective of what you consider archetypes to be, but I do feel it fair to like bring that up about how Zada is likely the only that I've seen true Storm deck that we have, because it's cast a spell, draw cards, get mana, cast a spell, draw cards, get mana. So
and this is why like winning turns are usually like 20-30 minute turns, because like I'm just like having to manually do everything one by one. Like also you're saying aggro, like another way people also classify my main Zada list as is a aggro combo, but like yeah, it's still trying to kill people with angry little men.
Angry little Magic players. Ah! Sorry. I think that's the first sound effect I've ever made on video.
Well, and there's a reason why my main list is called Mama Zada and her band of merry men.
Yeah. Right on. So I think that's for people who have always been interested in who you are as a player and your perspectives. I also know from experience that you're not overly verbose. You say exactly the thing that you need to say and take as long as you need to say it. So in a way, it's great to have that long form, perspective or version of your perspective on how you approach lists, how you construct. I guess we can kind of peel that back another layer, because you are a dedicated pilot. Like, you're one of the few people that, I'm not saying you don't you don't look at other decks because you probably do, but you are faithful to the creations that you maintain. So what does that process look like? Because your Zada list you've had, published. I'm not sure if it's the exact same list, but you've had a Zada list published for years now. Tell me about how you consider, because we're getting cards every 2 weeks. I mean, it's not. I know it's not that, but it's at least every 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We're getting new cards.
Yeah.
When a new set gets spoiled, because we're in the midst of a set just completely getting spoiled, so it's a little ironic. But what are you looking for to kind of amend your holdings, your current decks?
Well, to add to that situation is I do actually have 2 Zada lists, so that makes things different. So I do have my main typical combat storm Zada list. Then I also have my pinger list that's all about trying to kill everyone with pingers. So when a new set comes out, like the other day when Aether Drift came out, as far as fully spoiled, I will look through just all the reds and all the color lists and just look for things that are like combat tricks that are efficient for Zada, things that are potentially drawing me cards or creating treasures to keep the rhythm going. Now versus the pinger list, I'm not looking as much for buffs, but I'm looking at a lot of like take control of target creature, untap it, that kind of thing, because then I can use that for the pingers I can target Zada and then we'll untap all my pingers and allow me to keep pinging people that way. So it's just evaluating it differently because like my main Zada list is so efficient and so low CMC, like cards don't get added as often. I think in the last year, maybe 2, maybe 3 cards were added. Siege Mash, which is one of them, which gives you split second, gives target creature +3/+2 to end a turn, or it destroys an artifact. So a modal card like that is pretty nice because it also costs 1 and a red. So, which we'll talk about why that card is also relevant later when we get to talk about the tournament. And then the other one is Might of the Meek. Might of the Meek is a cantrip.
That's the mouth buff. Well, if you create
mouse buff, yes.
Mouse buff. Jesus, 5 times fast. So
yeah, it's the one that it costs 1 red. Target creature gains haste. If it's a mouse, it gets +1/+0 to, or it's either haste or trample. Let me actually pull it up because I have it right here. It's trample. So it gets trample, which trample is really relevant, especially when games get gunked up. Gives target creature trample in a turn. If it's a mouse, it gets +1/+0 to turn, and it draws a card, and it only costs 1 red. So it's gonna draw me a bunch of cards, and it actually replaced another cantrip that I had in the list, which was Ryle. Because Might of the Meek is instant speed versus Ryle is sorcery speed, and it's nice to have the sorcery speed. And Ryle also does 1 damage to everything, so you want to be able to keep your creatures, and doing the 1 damage is very relevant when everything is got a
small.
1 butt.
Yeah. You can't play Ryle first. You have to play Ryle second, which requires you to have other cards, and this kind of avoids that particular circumstance altogether. I got a Nephilim list that's kind of akin to your Zada list, and where I'm trying to do the exact same thing. I'm trying to, draw cards, make mana, and send the team. So, yeah, I get Ryle is problematic. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, and the Ryle, how I typically played it before when I still had it on the list was because the triggers go in the stack. I would resolve each trigger 1 by 1, and if I would draw an instant speed buff, I would cast instant speed buff to keep the remaining creatures alive to minimize the casualties, kind of thing.
Pro play. Hope you guys are listening. Okay, so with the additions to the deck, you outlined your qualifications for that, and I forget the question that I was just about to ask. Okay.
So you're also one thing also you were mentioning earlier about list. So my main Zada list, I looked it up. Yeah, I created that list on February 4th, 2022. So in 3 days, it will be 3 years old.
Yeah, literal years. And I have your list referenced. Well, your non-pinger list referenced on the dot guide in the dot guide library. As far as I'm concerned, sorry people out there. As far as I'm concerned, like there is no other representative list for Zada. I think you've spent enough time, dedicated time to kind of working out all the kinks, and for that reason, I mean, it's definitely something that deserves to be promoted. I remembered my question. It was actually a two-parter. So, what are the strengths of Zada? Why? For those people out there listening to you, the Zada Master, talk about this particular list, why you've built it, why you've maintained it, why you've dedicated so much time to it. What are the strengths of Zada?
The strength of Zada, in the context of my main list, my combat list, is it's explosive, so it can win out of nowhere. It's quick. Theory crafting wise, I looked at it. I could technically win turn 3, but it's like the opening hand, God draws kind of thing, and it's not really relevant. But I have one turn 4. I consistently win turn 5 kind of thing. And it's one of those things also like with board wipes, because you have so many creatures. I can generate so much creatures, like you can bounce back away from board wipes pretty easily. There's been several games where, my board got wiped on turn 4. Oh, my board got wiped again on turn 6. Oh, my board wipe, they attempted to board wipe me on turn 8, and I won on that turn because I just buffed everything and killed everyone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What's the inverse of that? What are the weaknesses of Zada?
If I get overly focused, then sometimes I don't do anything. Also, because the deck only runs 28 lands, sometimes you just get stuck for a while. And the tournament has shown were several games where I got stuck on 2-3 lands and just kind of dirtled a little bit, and then finally won. But like, there's situations that you just don't get there. I can also talk about this later again when we talk about the tournament, because I actually have an example of in round 1 where that kind of gives you an example of what happens with the deck sometimes.
Right on. And then before we get into the tournament stuff, so people that are, because ironically, since you won, I think I've seen 1 or 2 posts in the subreddit talking about Zada. So either A, it was coincidence, or somebody's paying attention. So for those players out there that would like some insight into playing the deck, what would you consider some optimal play patterns for success?
So you got to really pay attention to your composition of your pod. Sometimes it's better to attempt the win second because of people being stopped. Sometimes you just have to be patient and wait for people to tap out. And sometimes you have to be patient to just hold certain cards in your hand and wait for people to be not ready and having their pants down, basically, kind of thing. So, which I can get examples about that in the tournament, or I can just explain about that. And so, but also, like, one thing is too, with the Zada, like I said, with having 2 different Zada lists, the 2 lists play fairly different. Because like my main list has pretty much no interaction, because my deck is just trying to win as quickly as possible. So like interaction is just kind of gonna muddy the waters and slow it down. Versus my pinger list, I want to get those triggers off the pingers from instants and sorcery. So like I have a lot more interaction, and a lot of the pingers have the bigger butts that like I'm just building that wall to like slow down people from chipping at me, kind of thing. So like I have like the lightning strikes, the smash of smithereens, the seething spear, the stuff to like take care of annoyances on the field, kind of thing, that the combat focused deck can't afford, because it's trying to be super dense with all the buffs and all the draws and everything.
Right on. So don't cast, because Zada costs 4, don't cast Zada on turn 4 with no protection.
You can. It is a risky move. Sometimes people will be like, what's going on? Especially depending on what you have on the field. Sometimes there's been games where like I've just kept getting steamrolled, and I just cast Zada, and Zada's the only creature on the field. I'm like, I don't have anything else going on. Might as well just use mana to do something with Zada.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Are there any people in the community who have your number that know exactly what's up?
To a point, but there's also people that like feel like at times will overly focus me, and then I have to remind them, every time you overly focus me, you lose the game too. So why you keep focusing me like this? Focus me when I'm an actual threat. Right
on. Which is, in fairness, hard to determine because Zada is so explosive. So probably, you might agree with this, probably the single most effective way to, air quotes, deal with Zada is the tempo play of a counter spell, something on the particular stack. It doesn't take you out of the game, but it does delay you a turn. I think that and fogs are the two big issues. But that's why I have Flaring Pain in the list now. I seem to recall somebody getting you with a fog.
Several times. I remember attempting win turn 5. No fog. Attempting win turn 6. Oh fog. Attempting win turn 7. Oh fog. Oh, finally get to win on turn 8.
Why are we bringing up old shit? No,
that
was good. That was good times. Right on. Okay, so common cost 7. I gotta say, I never in my life would have thought we would have made it to this point in time where we have 2 major online tournament programs and a couple of in real life programs that are pretty rock steady and producing events and stuff like that. I never, and I'm currently working with another guy who's doing a summer league, and then I just got word of another place yesterday that's trying to do a 2025 league, so playing cPDH starting February all through the year. So I never would have anticipated this type of larger Magic reaction. So this is kind of me like being grateful for, especially in this instance, Chris, who not only puts up with Magic players, because, Magic players are a huge pain in the butt sometimes. They're also great, but they're also a huge pain in the butt sometimes. But also, like, hosting an event that supports charity. He likes to focus on like children and veterans, and he'll bounce back and forth between the two. And like, I'm supremely grateful for his and Bobby's and Dallas Walker's and everybody else's efforts in putting this in. And gives me the opportunity to talk to more Zada players, Zada winners, right? So comic
it also gives you more time to crunch more numbers that you like crunching.
Yeah. Talk about a disease. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, so comic cost 7. You get paired up in round 1. I've got it.
Yep.
Got it right in front of me. You've got Patuan on Hollow Marauder, yourself on Zada, Purple Penguin Joe on Heartfire Hero, and Islane on Glaring Flesh Raker. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so and that was the seed order for everyone. It was a game that so most of the people in this pod are seasoned vets, kind of thing. They've been playing for at least a year, if not longer. Patuan is the newer player to the field. I think he's only been playing for a few months now at this point. Mm-hmm. So he's still kind of getting his feet wet and figuring out the play patterns and the pod compositions and how they affect things. And so like there is like situations of like weird politics in that situation, but like I said, it's still a learning situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now turn 4, I believe I had 5 creatures on the field and had cast Zada on the previous turn. Like I just didn't have anything going on. And on turn 4, I cast a cantrip.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, I didn't. So I cast Zada on that turn and then it cast into a cantrip, and I drew 5 creatures and a Breaking Claws. None of that's going to help me win the game right now. Because Breaking Claws is nice, but I need buffs to make it relevant. So there's a situation right there. Zada doesn't always get there. Zada sometimes just whiffs. And that's just a fact of the deck itself. And that's what people don't understand sometimes. And that's why people are sometimes overly scared of the deck, even though, like I said, it sometimes whiffs. I might draw 6-10 cards and not get anywhere. And that's just the fact of the deck itself. So like I said, that was turn 4. It would have been nice to have a turn 4 win, because it's been a full while since I've had a turn 4 win. But it turned into, at that point, I'm trying to remember, because it came down to, I believe at the end there, just the Heartfire Hero and Glaring Fleshraker, because everyone was just punching each other. And Purple Joe Penguin, Purple Penguin Joe, sorry, cut it backwards there, was doing damage with that little mouse, doing so much damage. And yeah, like it came down to, I think Patuan and myself got knocked out probably turn 7. And then it was just back and forth between the two of them, and Islane just top decked the perfect card and just went infinite and won the game.
Well, were there any commanders in that pod? Because some of them are new. Heartfire Hero is not exactly new. I think it's a little bit older than I came out with Bloomborough, which was summertime last year, summertime last year. So were you impressed by any? I know you've played it, you know.
Yeah, the Heartfire Hero was not like it. Not like I wasn't impressed with it, but like I was expecting. It was doing the things I was expecting since I've had experience in building it and playing it. And after the tournament, I talked to Purple Penguin Joe about his list, and he shared me his list. And there's like 34 cards that were different between our lists, but it was just like slightly different choices in buffs. He was playing Relic, which I don't think Relic is really relevant for Heartfire here, because it doesn't really care. You want to get the mouse big and exploding as soon as possible, and like that dilutes the game. It's just like little things that like he had choices different than like it was just different decks. But like I said, I haven't like super optimized my list either too. So he had a few cards in there that were kind of interesting that I've added to my considering list when I decide to like revisit the list. And then the other 2 commanders, like the Hollow Marauder. The Hollow Marauder did typical Hollow Marauder things. We're used to it at this point. We've seen it do its thing for a few months now. Glaring Fleshraker, which was a new one. It was the first time I'd seen it actually played. But like you can see the patterns there if you know how those kind of decks, if you pay attention, kind of thing. It just basically goes off and trying to generating a bunch of little guys to trigger its ability. That's all it is.
Right on. And you know, rinse and repeat. Make more little guys. Yep. Do more things. That sort of thing. So Islane top deck and won that. So moving into round 2, you're 0-1 and need to the pressure is on, right? So
there's no pressure. There's never any pressure.
Never any pressure. So in that second round, you're in the first seat. You got Peaches, then Kunks, then Wild Bill Harder. Peaches is on Cutzel, Kunks is on Lay Weaver, Lore Weaver, and William Harder's on Trigon Prime.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, to add to the no stress, the crazy thing about this was I wasn't even intending to play in the tournament, and OMG Chris said he needed another person to get 20. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna be going on tonight. I'll go and play, and that's why I'm not stressed out about it. It is what it is. But yeah, so like I said, in the turn order was that it was a situation that it was a slower turn for me. I think I got stuck on 2 mana for a while there. And then Tonks had gotten stalled out a little bit. Like he was getting low in cards, and he ended up just casting the Weaver and just trying to get the slow value out of it. Hutzel was doing a little bit of punching.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Trigon Prime was doing some major punching with Infect. He got me up to 7 Infect by the end of the game. So he was definitely coming at me to try to punch me and kill me off.
Was that Kutzel list a Heir Apparent list?
No, it was not. I don't remember seeing. I think it was a slime list. It was a slime list.
That's. I knew it was one of the mini copies of the cards.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it was an interesting slime. I think he finished the game with 2 slimes out, and I think they were like a 3 and a 4 or so.
3 and a 4, so not so big. Was there any moment? So you said Kunks was somewhat stalled in his game plan and put out the Lore Weaver for value. So it sounded like old Billy Harder was doing the Infect thing and pretty much dominating the game up to the point where he wasn't.
Yeah, it was definitely Bill and Pete were definitely applying some pressure to the game. I think that game I finished with like maybe I was down to like 23 life, mm-hmm. and like I said, 7 Infect.
And you said you won on turn. Are these accurate? Turn 7?
Yep.
I didn't know we could put the turns in the top deck. This is exciting.
No, it's not top deck. It's all done through Photoshop.
Oh, I see.
I researched the information and just put it all together to make it easy to find.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. I was about to say, man, I'm gonna have to reach out to these TOs and be like, hey, yo, step your game up. Like you could put the turns in the thing, But no.
I just went to the game reporting and looked at what turn the games were at.
Right on. Okay, so turn 7, secure the win. We're 1-1.
So yeah, turn 7 was also, so that was interesting too. Because I had 28 creatures on the field, and I cast Kick in a Door. For those that don't know what Kick in a Door does, it's cost 1 red, it's an instant speed. Target creature gets +1/+1 counter, haste, and I venture in the dungeon. So I'll be venturing in the dungeon 28 times.
Which dungeon did you pick?
Actually, chose multiple, because when I kicked into the door, I had already drawn a bunch of cards. So I was down to 42 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I had in my hand I had Fist of Flame in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be cautious to not draw too many cards and deck myself.
Mm-hmm. So
I went into the Mad Mage once, and then I went through the Phallic Driver, I think 2 or 3 times. It would have been 3 times.
So Mad Mage has the
Mad Mage.
Did you use any of the life loss?
Yes, because I didn't want to draw a card, so I had to do the life loss. Because I finished that game with 3 cards in my library and over 50 cards in my hand. And with Fist of Flame, the smallest creature was at least plus 35, 40.
Zada do what Zada do.
And I still had like 8 treasures to continue buffing if I wanted to, but it was just like, why?
Yeah. We gotta keep...
so like one of the Mad Mage I chose actually to create the skeletons instead of exiling the top 2 cards in the library.
So you could do more triggers off the spells.
Well, it's also 2 more cards that I have on the field in the deck kind of thing. So like I'm not decking myself. Like I said, I finished with 3 cards.
We gotta keep track of your storm counts moving forward. So that way we can have like this secret competition or registry of like, okay, Zada storm counts over time. 2 years ago, we were able to achieve 12. Now we're up in the 40s,
Well, you want to bring up old memories. Remember the game when you fogged me a bunch of times? I asked Empty the Warrens for and creating 36 low gobos. So that was a storm count of 18.
Yes. Those were the days. I still didn't win that. So play fogs, don't play fogs. You may or may not win.
Well, if play fogs, is like I said, if I draw my entire deck, and I'm gonna get through because of Flaring Pain.
Yep.
So
100. And I think
the nice thing about Flaring Pain is it's got flashback, so I can cast it twice in the game.
Were you playing, a little side note, were you playing Flaring Pain before that?
Yes.
Okay.
I just didn't draw into it at that point.
Okay, wasn't sure because I think I asked you, and I can't remember.
I might have not. I might have added it after that tournament. It was around that time I added it.
Right on. Okay. In the footnotes, Clay did this on such date, inserting Flaring Pain. Okay, cool. I've made my mark. Okay. So you kick ass in round 2. Moving into round 3, you've got Gator in seat 1 with Horde's Shadow Spinner, you in seat 2, Ryan, Papa Pauper in 3rd with Third Path Iconoclast, and then Caleb Arosium with Morbid Opportunist. Tell me about that.
That was another interesting one. So I had one of the prowess or pseudo prowess creatures on the field. I think it might have been Festival Crasher. And I was just kind of spreading out some damage there. Just get the little small 1, 2, 3 damage around kind of thing. Just kind of like chip at things. Mm-hmm. But I was not able to hit Erosium because he built that little wall of like 5 creatures. So I was just like, you're okay. And early in the game, Gator had countered Third Path Iconoclast. Mm-hmm. So that got countered, and then Morbid Opportunist got blown up, I think, with a Defile, maybe? Mm-hmm. So he kind of like Gator messed up their tempo. And the entire game, he was continually to applying pressure, getting those card advantage, because the Horde Shadow Spirit Spinner gets to look at a bunch of cards and discard a bunch of cards to keep like shaping the hand kind of thing. And I think it was a kind of a Mexican standoff a little bit because of the amount of blue there, because Ryan seemed a bit scared to cast this commander again. Mm-hmm. Ended up keeping a full grip. So it got down to like I got stuck at a little bit of mana again. I got stuck at I think 3 mana for forever, or 2 mana, and then finally got a third one, and I got stuck there forever. Finally got 4 mana, and I was like, this is like turn 10, I believe. So I was like, I'm just gonna cast Zada. It's turn 10. If it gets countered, it gets countered. I need to weed out the game a little bit. It's one of the things. Sometimes you have to just take your licks and try to apply the pressure to force people to have the interaction. Which there's a good chance that Ryan with the full grip had interaction. Mm-hmm. And if he had it, he had it. But it's one less spell that he has in his hand then. So I cast Zada. I was like, it came to Ryan's response to figure out if he wanted to respond to it. It was like, I have 4 creatures in it. I have like 5 creatures in the field, mm-hmm. and Zada. I have no available mana in my hand. No, you have other ways to deal with Zada. If you're scared of it, deal with it later when it is a problem. Mm-hmm. And he just passed priority. Then it just came around. Gator wasn't scared of it because he was getting set up to get up to a combo kill, I think. Mm-hmm. So it came back to Ryan. Ryan ended up casting an aura, a blue aura. It's like Witness Protection, but it's not that one. It's another one that's like that. So he locked down Zada. Mm-hmm. Like, okay. And at that point, I went to Erosium. Erosium attempt to kill Gator through an interaction with his pingers and stuff. Well, he would have pinged because Ryan had Shadow Snap on the field. So he was trying to basically kill in that situation. He also did a Mass Edict, and I chose to sacrifice a Goblin, which should have been a red flag for people that I didn't decide to get rid of Zada. Mm-hmm. and they just kind of fought out, and they basically everyone tapped out. Well, it went back to my turn, and I hit this Pyroblast that I've had in my hand this entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Commenced to blow up the aura that's on Zada, and commenced to draw 3/4 of my deck and win the game.
Brilliant.
Like I said, it's one of the things. Sometimes you just have to be patient with Zada.
And kind of knowing your opponents there as well. So I played Gator in the round prior, and he did the exact. So it sounds like to me, with more information, his competitive bent for that tournament was trying to do the same tempo play stuff that I have been professing over the last 6 months, a year, what have you, because he countered my turn 2 commander, countered Ryan's turn 2 commander, so it seems like that was part of the game plan. Ryan's deck, the reason why he likely wasn't interacting in those moments where you'd expect is his version of TPI. It's his flavor, needs TPI. Like you need TPI to supply the extra bodies, so that way it reduces the type of interaction that you're playing. Because he's playing the convokes and other type of reduction spells that are normally like 6 or 7 mana themselves. So he probably got handicapped with that tempo play that kind of led into an opportunity. And then, I don't know, you were talking about the aura put on Zada. I'm not a huge fan of auras as prisons in our format anymore. For exactly that particular reason. A bounce spell, a pyroblast, like any little thing, because the threat is there, and the answer to reactivate your threat is efficient. Usually efficient, 1 or 2 mana, and then it's off to the races.
One thing to add to the thing is, on the field I had a Skirt Prospector, so if I really wanted Zada gone, I could have sacrificed it to the Skirt Prospector too.
So I mean, no, it sounds like that was a super dynamic game with a lot of influences and what have you, and I mean, being able to Zada doing Zada things out of nowhere.
Well, I think it was the Gator was the obvious threat in the game due to the amount of card advantage he had, and I would just kind of I was floundering a little bit again, because like it was just like you got to just bide your time sometimes with Zada.
So, what is your opinion? This is a slight aside. So, I hear combo players, and you would be somewhat slide into this description. I hear combo players talk about all the time, like they'll try to land a value piece or an engine and go like, okay, guys, I'm just trying to draw cards to be in this and all of that. So when you hear that kind of stuff, what are you thinking relative to that claim?
Just looking at the situation, sometimes there's some situations I cause Zada just to get maybe 4 or 5 cards, or even 3 cards, just to get in the game to be able to do something. It's more relevant when I'm playing my pinger list instead of my combat list, because with the pinger list I can interact and actually deal other things. It's one of those things. Sometimes they're just bluffing out their butts. Sometimes they're being truthful that they just need a couple cards to get potentially be able to interact with the game. So it's just like you just have to read it, and sometimes you just make the wrong choice because you just luck out. But sometimes they just top deck off that too.
Yeah, I'm trying to create some meter metric for because I've got another video on the horizon where I'm going to be talking about like 4D chess in Magic. So like trying to calibrate the old bullshit meter, as it were, to what people are saying and how they're saying it and that sort of thing. So it seemed like the the perfect round for gaining your experience on that sort of thing. Oh.
Well, so another thing also, that game also top decked the perfect card. It was a Seething Song into a Mana Geyser, so that got me rolling into getting enough mana to do things.
Manas and cards. Okay, turn. Round 4. So
Yep.
going back to that round 3, that was the longest of your rounds at 11 turns. So that was.
Yeah, we went to time also too. I was finishing my turn on that time. It went to time on my turn.
What perfect, like, it's almost serendipity, because if the turn had ended on any other player, it's likely in that pod configuration that no one else would have had the opportunity to win. You were the one. So in a way, I'm kind of surprised that, like, do you recall what the time on the clock was when it got to you?
I think it was probably about 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Okay.
But I was storming off because that turn I drew half my deck. I think the smallest, because again, there's another fisting flame, a win, and the smallest creature there had a plus 14.
Oh, I see.
From just Fist of Flame.
So at 6 minutes, coming from Gator, there's a likelihood of, you can't really stall out with 6 minutes on the clock with Horrid Shadow Spinner. So there was probably an opportunity of like, okay, pass the turn. Stein gets a turn. Somebody interacts. He passes the turn. Ryan eats up time, a little bit of time, passes the turn. And then the hope is to get back around to, Gator, who I assume was the other person poised, like because you said he was the other person doing stuff. So maybe that was the thought process there. Yeah, I remember catching that last part on stream.
Yeah, it switched over to when I was in. I was in the middle of my storm when it came over to our game. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the middle of your storm. If you wrote a book, that's the title. Okay, round 4. You've got Purple Penguin Joe. I trip up because he uses a different name on Top Deck. Purple Penguin Joe is with Heartfire Hero. You've got Russell Harder with Wilson Far Traveler. You've got Aaron with Sir Conrad, and then you were in the 4th spot with Zada. It seems like you've been okay. You were in the 4th spot in the last game too, but it seems like up until then you were, kind of at the front of the pack and being able to, in the 1st and 2nd seat. What's it like piloting Zada from 4th position?
It doesn't really change for the combat list. It doesn't really change the game plan all that much. The interesting thing is, at one time, Brain is going much here.
Mm-hmm.
The plays a lot of white.
What's that?
Player is a lot of this guy plays a lot of white. My brain just went much. I can't remember his name for some reason.
Finhorn Brownie? Lobert?
Finhorn Brownie, yes. Finhorn Brownie had made a comment that at one point I was undefeated in C3. And of course, that tournament, he announced it right before the tournament, and of course I said C3 like twice and lost both times. So I was like, thanks, Finhorn, I'm no longer undefeated in C3. And then this game, I don't play a single time in C3. It seems like C3 is the best place, but because like you kind of get slightly ignored, but you also have like that slight edge over a 4th seat.
Mm-hmm.
But it really doesn't make that much of a difference what you're doing as far as the combat. Because like I said, the combat deck is not really interacting with other people; it's just punching people.
And that makes a lot of sense because there's been very light talk, because we don't have Soul Ring in the format. But there's been light talk over the last year or so about any potential advantage C1 may have. Because, if everybody plays a land, which they should, on the first turn, seat 1 is the first one to have, mana advantage in that turn too. Because the likelihood of having that land at the start of turn 2 is pretty high. Because people are keeping hands for this particular reason. So, yeah, so it takes a while for that seat 1 / seat 2 advantage to kind of work itself out, 5 or 6 turns. So that's why I would presume that having that luck with Zada in seat 4, because people are doing stuff, hopefully, but because you mentioned previously that sometimes it's good to interact second. Or not interact, but like attempt second. So,
well, and then also like it's if you're in a later seat though, there's chances of people being tapped out, and that makes your mana of geysers better. It makes your storming situations better, kind of thing too.
perfect. So we're up against Heartfire Hero again. We have Sir Conrad in the mix, and then we got Wilson Far Traveler. Anything fun happening in this particular round?
This is kind of a cut and dry kind of situation. I wasn't really getting much mana. Conrad came down, started blowing things up more, and then Russell was applying pressure with Wilson. I think Wilson was up to like 6 or 7 power at one point, with 2 ETB creatures that draw a card and the fire. So he's getting the card advantage from the Far Traveler. It was just one of those things that like Carson just had a really good game. Everything just lined up for him, and he was able to just keep punching people and getting big and blowing up the mouse and killing everyone.
And that's the goal.
And it came down to,
and that's the goal with the mouse. Yeah,
it's to blow it up, kill everyone. But it came down to like myself and Russell got knocked out maybe a turn or 2 before the end of the game, and it's just 1v1 between Conrad and Heartfire, which is a favorable setup because the mouse wants to die and Conrad wants to kill things. So it kind of like what are you gonna do? Yeah.
And Conrad doesn't gain a whole lot of life, and the life gain that people have been sliding into Conrad is I can't remember it's a graveyard hate spell that exiles creatures and you gain life. Well, Heartfire Hero is not playing a lot of creatures in the list, so the one out that Aaron has really isn't an out to save himself.
Well, because like his Heartfire list runs pingers and it runs the prowess and pseudo prowess creatures. I don't run the pseudo prowess creatures in my list because I'd rather have the more buffs in the list. But it's not very creature dense list kind of thing.
Right on. Yeah, so that I never thought of it really from. I've only ever seen it buff and blow up the mouse. I've never really seen the pinger part of the strategy kind of play out.
Well, you're playing a lot of instant and sorcery, so it's like goes kind of hand in hand.
Nice. Are you playing any? This is Clay's internal monologue winning. So for that type of strategy, and I suppose by extension, the other Zada list that you have, are you playing Kiln Fiend and other prowess type creatures in that type of strategy?
No, I'm not. But Joe was running the pseudo prowess creatures in his Heartfire list, but I don't run them in my Heartfire list, and I don't have them in my my Zada list. Oh no, I don't have them in my Zada list because I don't really care too much about getting things super big. I rather just storm off pinging everyone
because everything's going to get big.
Well, the one thing that I would really want to get big is the Spike Shot Goblin, because it does damage to its power to a target. So I've gotten it before plenty of times. I've gotten it before on a turn 6, got it up to 20 power and killed one player, tapped it, killed another player, untapped it, and killed a third player.
Some of that stuff is just ridiculous, what we can do in this particular format. Creativity or necessity breeds creativity, huh? So Joe takes down round 4 because of your previous record. You were still somewhat of a shoe-in for the top cut. That positioned him to get into top cut as well. So now you've got you faced Heartfire Hero 3 times that day. Yep. Lucky you. So moving into the final pod, where there's no time restrictions, so no in the turn on you experience like you did earlier that day. You've got a deck that you've played you got pretty recent relevant experience playing him twice, learning the player, learning the deck, some of which you knew previously, but like had very relevant experience. And then you move into that final pod. You've got Gatorbait in first with the Horde Shadow Spinner again, Azrael with Arabella, Joe with Heartfire Hero, and yourself fourth. As you're kind of pulling up into this pod, what are your thoughts?
It's just be a normal game for me, kind of thing. I'm not really scared of anything specifically. The only thing that's really annoying is the Arabella, because the life gain it makes because it goes wide enough, and the life gain makes a little bit of a difference. But the Arabella also helps my job because it's draining everyone else. Same with the Heartfire Hero; it's also draining everyone else. So I'm not too concerned about anything in the deck, and since there's only one Blue X deck in the pod, it makes it a little bit easier. And because it's a very aggro heavy pod, it didn't really bother me too much. It just, like I said, it makes Zada's job easier if everyone else is losing life too already. So
yeah, my as I'm queuing up to watch this final pod, I'm going, okay, Dimir, Boros, red. There's a lot of red in this pod. Good luck, Blue. Good luck. Because as I'm watching these, I've had the unique distinction of watching more finals than actually playing in them. But as I'm watching these, I'm kind of watching the game pan out because I reach out to the winner after the fact and offer the interview. That's what I'm thinking. It's like, okay, who's it gonna be? Is it gonna be Carson with 2 N's, or is it gonna be Stein with 2? Like who's it gonna be? And yeah, tell us about that round leading up to, because it felt like you weren't doing anything, and then a land drop. So go ahead.
Well, so okay, also about the life gain, I keep forgetting a relevant thing for the Shadow Spitter. It also has life gain, so it has a little life gain. So, but it seemed that in that game that Gator was scared more of the Arabella due to how wide and how much it can drain life. Carson was hitting a little bit of everyone, and Arabella was trying to do its thing also too, but I was kind of left alone a little bit because, again, missing those land drops, which sometimes is useful. Arabella had already been cast once and Gator destroyed it. Well, later in the game, Arabella got cast a second time, and in response to him trying to give it haste, here comes the great Siege Smash to kill it in a split second, because it is an artifact. So it was enough to do a little jab to kind of put him a little bit off his game a little bit because he wasn't expecting it. And also it made him have a little bit less creatures, and because of him wanting to attack, he swung out more than I think he probably should have. So it was just and later then it came back to me, and that's the turn. That's when I decided. That's when I went off and stormed off. There was a turn 6 win, which is pretty nice in a final, especially since at that point we started the final at 3:45 in the morning for me. So yeah, it was one of the things. I got everything stupid big again. Cast that Fist of Flame, got everything stupid big even more. And Gator was ready to concede at this point, but Azrael wanted to see it play out. Okay, I'll continue drawing the cards and have that Flaring Pain in my hand, so in case you have the Prismatic Strand, not going to do anything. And at that point, I just made everything stupid big and killed everyone, because everyone's life was also pretty low at that point too.
Yeah, so that's a premium point for you as a Zada pilot in recognizing that you've got one player who's preaching concession, and then you've got another player that does have white, right, in the list, and has the availability of prismatic strands as somewhat of a fog. So you having the presence of mind to draw cards until you get that flaring pain, because you don't know if you need it or not, and why do all this build up, if you're not going to dance with the girl, right? Why do all this? So that, I think that's the missing piece for like people, because comment sections are always comment sections. Like, like why are you keeping going, or why keep dragging it out, or that sort of thing. Well, that's a very valid and primary reason why you want to draw to that spell. Plus, Flaring Pain, if I remember correctly, has flashback, right?
Yep.
So, it's not necessarily a guarantee that you're going to win off the back of a Flaring Pain, but I mean, by virtue of flashback, you can eat through a counterspell and then recast it again. So yeah, I mean, and Prismatic Strands also has flashback, so it's like they cast it. I don't know exactly when you would. Is there a layer? Now I'm getting into my own head. Is there a layering issue with Flaring Pain?
No, because Flaring Pain says damage can't be prevented.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, regardless if you cast in a fog or a fog-like effect, the damage is not it cannot be prevented. So, I still get through with damage,
no matter what, whether you cast it first, second, whenever.
The only way to stop it is countering it. Which at that game, I had 2 counter spells in my hand. I had both REB and Pyroblast.
And the flashback from the spell itself. So
yep,
it was going to happen. They didn't know it yet, but it was going to happen. No, that was good. I'm glad you went with Azrael's request to like keep working it out, because that gave us an opportunity to talk about this particular circumstance, which doesn't. It's not every day. In fact, I can't think of a single other list that plays a damage prevention spell.
Well, that's the only damage prevention spell that, like, Flaring Pain is the only one in the format that stops you from preventing damage.
So, and it's not played a lot, if at all, except for this.
Yep.
So, right on. So anything?
I think Gut runs it now too.
Now, probably because of the rise in prevalence for
fogs.
For fogs. So not a bad trick. So anything from the round specifically that you want to cover?
No, it was a fairly typical kind of round. It was just nice to I get to do Siege Smash on the second mode for once.
Not irrelevant. They've been making a lot more artifact, commanders in the last couple of years.
And it's nice to have a modal card that's flexible in that aspect.
100%. Sweet. The very last question that I have for you is it's twofold. What's the future of Zada? And the second one is, what's the future for Stein? So
for Zada, I think the main list is, like I said, is just going to get the little incremental upgrades from time to time for new set drops. The pinger list, I think, is in a pretty healthy spot too. I think it's just going to continue to get its slow incremental improvements. I had been looking at trying to develop a new list, but again, with me not playing very much, it's hard because I don't like gold fishing. Gold fishing doesn't give you real world information kind of thing. Because example, like I said, Zada, I could gold fish it and win turn 3, but not going to happen. So it's just I need to figure out I want to figure out another list that's different, but still fits my playstyle. Like I said, the Heartfire Hero is one that I'm interested in. Even thinking about bringing in an oldie back into the meta. But I needed a lot of games under my belt to kind of really optimize it.
An oldie that we'll spoil at a later time. You savage bastard you.
I'll even give it color combination. It's Orzhov.
An oldie.
No, Orzhov. Black, white.
Huh. See? Stumped. Because there's... The only oldie that I can think of is Killian, and that doesn't seem like your style.
No, I'm not Killian.
No. So... And then Minthara is the other popular one. So,
that's not an oldie at this point.
I know, yeah. So... No, good. What about for you as a player? What do you what's your 6-month plan for Pauper Commander?
I would like to try to get like the club I go to every once in a while to get more people interested in playing Pauper Commander, but it's hard. And because like there's not a lot of people that play regular Commander because again a lot of people play more modern or limited. But I have brought my Zada list a few times. Well, all my Pauper Commander lists a few times, and it's always interesting when like I pop off in turn 5 with a Zada and a regular Commander list, and like, oh, I thought this was a Power 7 game. Well, I would consider Zada 6 in a regular Commander list, and they're like, well, this is more of a 9 to us. I'm like, no, no.
It's only common cards, guys. It's only common cards. Yep. Perfect. All right, my friend. Where can people find you? I don't think you're active on social media. Not that I know of. I think you're most active on Discord, and yep. It's R2D2 with a pirate hat. Is the icon?
These R2D2.
So yeah, if you want to hit up Stein and ask him about Zada things, I think you're in are you still in home base and Sanctuary?
Yeah, I'm in all the servers. I'm in home base, Sanctuary, Possibility Storm, OMG Gaming, PDH Pod, Common Theory, cPDH Guide, and Common Connoisseurs. I'm available. I'm not hard to find.
Yeah, hit him up, and the link for his Zada list, which is updated or maintained regularly. Updated is a questionable term based on what's given to us by Papa Watsy. But yeah, I'll put the link to his link in the description, and I'm grateful. I hate time zones because anytime that you were available, I was actively at work. But we were able to get this to line up. You had to sacrifice a little bit of your Saturday. I still have the majority of my Saturday left. So no, I'm grateful we were able to line this up. I said it in text. I'll say it in person. It's about damn time. You've been engaged in this format. Offering not offering. That's a horrible thing to say. The things that you were offering in your conversations and in your gameplay and what have you are meaningful. That's the way I was going to say it was going to suggest that other people's efforts aren't meaningful. That's not exactly what I was meaning. Your presence is a net positive for the format, and because I've recognized that for a while, I am so glad that you've had some payoff here. That said, I mean, like you said previously, you've had some top 4s and some top 8s, so you've always been, right there. So yep. I'm glad we were able to kind of get together and celebrate you as the winner of Common Cost 7, and I'm hopeful that we'll be talking to each other in this capacity again later this year.
Always the dream.
Yeah. All right, brother. Until the next time.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. We'll see you on the flip.